Oh, ice cream! Don't you dare be ice cream! Clap for your world-famous ice cream and feel the ice cream! It's ice cream, yes it is. Ice cream. So, what's up? I'm Pete Last Guy, and this is Raw Emotion, where I take a look at this week's Monday Night Raw, and I tell you a little bit about what I think and a lot about how I feel. This week's show opened up with the first glimpse we've had of Chris Jericho since the Festival of Friendship. He comes out, does an in-ring promo, and is immediately pandering to Chicago, so I'm pretty sure he's just a face now. That was his face turn, was getting beat up by Kevin Owens, and now Jericho's a face, which, I don't know, I usually prefer heel Jericho, but over the course of this story, I think it's natural, the face turn. I like it. It's gonna be good. He's gonna feud with Kevin Owens. I'm loving it. He calls out Kevin Owens because he wants to know why. Why did you do what you did at the Festival of Friendship? And Kevin Owens comes out to answer him. He said, "You were never my best friend, Chris." That's my best Kevin Owens. Bad impressions every time. But he basically says he was a dupe. Triple H told him that he needed someone to watch his back, and Chris Jericho was that guy. He duped him, he used him, and then when he accepted that Goldberg match on Kevin Owens' behalf, that was it. He was no longer useful, so he did away with him. Makes sense. Anyway, over the course of the promo, there ends up being a match made for WrestleMania for the U.S. title. Kevin Owens versus Chris Jericho. I'm very excited about that. So, of course, this being wrestling, it ends up with them brawling, and then Joe shows up, and then Sami shows up with the chair, and it's fun. It's fun. It's good. Good, clean family fun. So this ends up setting up a couple matches for the night. Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens, which, okay, we complain a lot, right, about how it's, well, they said it was never going to happen again, and look at it happening, which, like, yeah, they're not keeping their word, but it's Kevin Owens wrestling Sami Zayn. Do you remember when we used to chant, "Fight Forever" to these guys? Did you mean it? I enjoyed the match. I'll always take an opportunity to see these two go at it. But again, WWE, can't follow through. Don't make the promises. Anyway, that match goes fantastically as you would imagine. Sami Zayn ends up eating two pop-up power bombs, and the second one is the end of the match. And Kevin Owens just comes out of it looking just real mad. Like this was just like a blowing off steam kind of match for him, which I hope Sami Zayn doesn't end up getting buried. I keep thinking he's going to, but he keeps showing up and doing things and being great. So I think he's too good to let himself be buried no matter how they book him. That's my hope, at least. I'm going to be optimistic about that. Next thing. We found ourselves in Cruiserweight Corner, and after a lot of package jokes from Austin Aries, we have a match between Neville and Rich Swann, and, it goes about how you'd expect, but it was good. It was very good, and not only was it good, the crowd was actually into it. They were into a cruiserweight match for once, and that's exciting. I like that. They were chanting, they were into it. There was a "This is awesome" chant, which again, I really think we should be a little more sparing with the "This is awesome" chants, because we're kind of devaluing it by just throwing them out there for every kind of cool thing that happens in a wrestling match. But I like that the crowd was into a cruiserweight match enough that they decided to go with this chant. I think Neville has a lot to do with that. He's injected He's injected a good energy into the cruiserweight division, and I think he may have saved it, frankly. But Neville puts the Rings of Saturn on Rich Swann and submits him, and Austin Aries goes into the ring to interview him, and what we've been seeing build up for a while finally comes to a head when Austin Aries attacks Neville at the end of that interview, and it sets up a rivalry between the two of them, which I'm very excited for. I like Austin Aries a lot. I like Neville a lot, obviously. This is they're both kind of heels, but I think it works. This is going to be good. And we'll stay in Cruiserweight Corner real quick to talk about Akira Tozawa versus Arya Daivari. Of course, when you bring out somebody like Arya Daivari or Tony Nese or Drew Gulak, this match is here to build something unrelated to those guys. They're kind of, they're your generic cruiserweight jobbers, and, did his job. Tozawa dispatches with him fairly quickly, goes, a couple of times. What a basic chant. I love it. But After that, he, gets a mic, calls out Brian Kendrick, who does come out and tells him about lesson 5? Lesson 5. And lesson 5 is to be careful what you wish for, because Tozawa wanted to fight Kendrick, and you better be careful. Remember what happened to the dog who finally caught his tail? Careful what you wish for. I don't have a plan. We're done with cruiserweights now. So let's talk about your new Universal Champion, Goldberg. He makes his entrance and does an in-ring promo, and he's talking about how he's going to divulge something he's never divulged to anyone, but he's interrupted by Paul Heyman, and of course not far behind him is the Beast Incarnate himself, Brock Lesnar. This segment also goes about how you would expect it to go. Goldberg stands looking intimidating, and so does Brock, and all the while Paul Heyman is speaking, and they're really, with these Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman segments, they're really liking to play with like the framing, because it had like the two guys, the two big dudes staring each other down, and in between them, like looking this way, not at either of them, but just looking this way was Paul Heyman. It was actually a really cool shot, as Heyman was basically, he was giving credit to Goldberg, saying, you're every bit the beast that Brock is, you're every bit the conqueror that Brock is, but at WrestleMania, you will become Brock's big... And Goldberg eats an F5! What? That's the biggest bump he's taken since coming back. And, man, alright, okay, I'm a little excited now. I was getting a little, I was kind of over this old, bring back Goldberg nostalgia. Remember this thing? Remember? Goldberg. But seeing him actually take an F5 made me actually kind of excited for the WrestleMania match. So, the segment did its job. Moving on. Enzo and Cass are up for their rematch with the Good Brothers. God, such a bad name. But as they're making their entrance, Corey Graves had, my favorite burn in a long time, because he burned Enzo and Cass and Chicago sports teams at the same time. He said, these guys are a lot like Chicago sports. Cass, rather, is the Cubs. It might take 100 years, but he might win a title. And Cass is like the White Sox. If he ever wins a championship, there's a scandal involved. Ooh, ow. Chicago, you gonna let him say that kind of thing? Ooh. But they're having their match, and it's, it's about the same as what we saw at Fastlane, pretty much the same type of match, same type of spots, and whatever, except that in the middle of it, Sheamus and Cesaro come down to ringside just to watch. Cesaro's got his coffee and his suit, just chilling, just watching. Hey, no big deal. You do your wrestling thing. I'm just gonna... It's coffee. Or maybe it wasn't coffee. Maybe it was hot chocolate. A little Swiss Miss, because Cesaro's from Switzerland. But regardless of what was in that cup, it didn't stay in that cup, because at one point Enzo lands a nice big spot on one of his opponents and is super excited about it, doing his spazzy Enzo thing, and he spazzes right into Cesaro's beverage. It spills all over him, and of course now that means, well, we gotta fight you. There's a match going on, but you spilled my coffee, so now it's over, I guess. And it was over pretty quick, because it ended in a DQ as a result of this interference, and so now it's just a brawl between the three teams, and eventually you end up with Enzo jumping onto Cesaro's back after everybody else has pretty much been cleared out of the ring. And he's trying to attack him, he's on his shoulders, and really cool spot, I like this. Sheamus bro kicks him in his face, right over Cesaro's shoulder, kicks Enzo right off of Cesaro's back, clears the ring, and they stand victorious, I guess, even though they weren't in the match. And it sets up Enzo and Cass versus Sheamus and Cesaro for, I guess, a title shot at WrestleMania. Alright, I like this. I like how they're using them. Honestly, Sheamus and Cesaro, they're becoming one of my favorite tag teams on Raw. It was, for a while, it was a New Day, but man, these days, Sheamus and Cesaro, you got me. I'm on board. Yeah. Speaking of the New Day, another ice cream cart segment, another New Day Pops cart, whatever they're calling it, the New Day Popsicle. That was the New Day Popsicle, excuse me. They come out and hype that right before their match with the Shining Stars, and I realized them fighting the Shining Stars, they got the same gimmick. They're trying to sell you things. Both of these teams, just their whole thing is they're trying to sell you stuff. It's just that the New Day is better at it because I want to buy the ice cream. I don't want to buy the ice cream, but I want to buy it. mark. But that match is barely worth talking about. They beat the Shining Stars quickly. It's, you know, whatever. Next thing, and the next thing is the women's segment. And alright, here's the thing. You got Bayley in the ring. She's being interviewed by Mick about, you know, what it's like to be champion and that. And Sasha comes out and issues a friendly WrestleMania challenge. And, of course, she's interrupted by Charlotte and Dana Brooke. I mean, mostly just Charlotte. Dana Brooke is not doing anything in this segment. She's there. But Charlotte interrupts her, and okay, here's the thing. Charlotte says that she's got everything figured out. She knows what's going on here. See, Sasha knew she wouldn't be able to win the title off of Charlotte. I mean, we did that song and dance already. We did that. But she knows she can beat Bayley because she doesn't believe that Bayley is as good as Charlotte. And knowing that, that's why she came down to the ring at Fastlane to interfere with the match and make sure that Bayley won so she could win the title back off of her at WrestleMania. Charlotte's saying, you know, that was the plan all along. You're using Bayley. That's what's happening here. And that brings us into a thing that WWE has been doing a lot recently, where the heels have a really good point. You know, we saw it in that Rusev / Lana / Jinder versus Enzo and Cass debacle that happened earlier, where the heels were pretty much in the right. In this case, Charlotte is making some very good points. I'm kind of convinced, and here's what I think is going to happen. Everyone's already been saying that Sasha's probably going to turn heel soon-ish here. They're kind of slow burning that, but she's doing some very heel-ish things. Here's what I think happens, because Charlotte is so in the right here, and she is getting so screwed over by Sasha. We haven't seen a good double turn in a while, have we? I think at WrestleMania, we see a double turn. Charlotte turns face. Now that her, you know, pay-per-view streak is broken, we gotta find a different angle for her, and I think they're gonna turn her face, turn Sasha heel, same show, same time. It's gonna be good. Watch it. I'm calling it right now. This guy. But Steph comes out to clear everything up, and since this is Chicago, she is, of course, greeted by thunderous CM Punk chants, and she takes a moment to stop and say, yeah. Very predictable, Chicago, yeah, right? You're all like CM Punk, aren't you? Which, first of all, she said his name on TV, and it aired. Woo. But she says, you're all just like CM Punk. You're all losers. And you backed the wrong person. You're backing Sasha. She's not a good person. And again, Steph has a point. But she thinks Charlotte should get the WrestleMania match. Mick thinks Bayley should get it. And the compromise ends up being that Sasha and Bayley will have a match against each other. And Charlotte's in automatically. But if Sasha beats Bayley in this match, then she will get inserted into the WrestleMania match, and it'll be a triple threat. And it starts right now! And it's a fantastic match. It's Sasha versus Bayley. But the finish ends up being, you got Charlotte trying to interfere, tries to break up the bank statement. She gets kicked off the apron, and Sasha ends up getting the submission on Bayley. She wins. It's a triple threat at WrestleMania. You knew it was going to be, but, you know, it's still a good match. Still, there were stakes. It was good. It's good. I love it. We then get a Seth Rollins recovery hype package. You know, we see him doing the physical therapy and stuff and kind of talking about how it's going. And then after that, we go to Triple H via satellite on the Titantron there. And he's putting on the veneer of like this corporate guy who just cares about his employees. And man, Seth Rollins, you're just being disrespectful to our fantastic doctors that we have here at WWE who say you shouldn't be at WrestleMania. Don't go. And I reiterate, if you do, it will be the last thing you do in a WWE ring. And that was it for that segment. You know, just there to remind us that this storyline is still happening and we want to keep that hype going between now and WrestleMania. That's smart. That's good. Our next match, though, is that match promised from earlier. Joe versus Chris Jericho. And here's something happened during Joe's entrance that I need to address. Remember how for 17 weeks or whatever it was, you know, the build up to Emelina. Remember that stupid thing? And then how she came out and was like, "Hey, I'm Emelina. Now I'm going to become Emma again. Bye." And we were maybe hoping, right, that was just the death of that angle. That's it. No more of this. No more. Nope. There's more. Now it looks like we're gonna get 17 weeks of Emelina back to Emma promos. And then what'll happen? What will happen? Who cares? Why do you not just abandon this? Nobody likes it. It's not, there's no way the payoff to this is going to be worth anything. It's stupid. Stop it. You need to stop it. And especially don't put that thing in the middle of Joe's entrance. I'm getting hyped up for a match between Chris Jericho, the greatest of all time, and Samoa Joe, the Destroyer. I don't need a stupid Emma promo thing there. That aside, Y2J and Samoa Joe had a fantastic match. Samoa Joe is as hard-hitting as they come. Chris Jericho is a technician. It was fantastic. These guys are professionals. They're great. And the Samoan submission machine lives up to his name. He ends up coquina clutching Chris Jericho up to the 7 count outside the ring, getting himself back in and letting Jericho lose via count out. At which point he then goes and gets Jericho to bring him back in the ring to keep hurting him, because that's what Joe does. He hurts you until you can't be hurt anymore. And then he hurts you even more. Except he doesn't in this scenario, because Chris Jericho turns it around on him and breaks his code right there in the ring. And, cool. Good match. Next. And the last segment of the night. Oh boy. Braun Strowman. He comes down to the ring. He's very mad. He's on the mic. And I'm glad he's on the mic so much. He's like, you wouldn't have guessed it when he was with the Wyatts, but he's actually like, he's not bad at promos, and he's intimidating. It's like if Brock Lesnar could talk good. Because he's this big friggin' dude, and you don't think these dudes are going to have any sort of way with words, and it's not like he's extremely eloquent, but, you know, he comes off as threatening and competent on the mic, so I'm glad they're letting him do that. And so he comes out and tries to call out Roman Reigns. Get down here. I don't need a match. I know. I already did my bad impression for the day. Stop. I don't need a match. I just need you to come down here so I can rip you limb from limb. And then Roman's music hits. Banner. Banner. Oops. Just kidding. Bong. Yep. Undertaker. There he is. After about 15 minutes of entrance, he makes his way down to the ring, gets in there, and just stares down Braun Strowman, who backs down. Backs away and looks scared. You haven't seen Braun Strowman look scared yet. Ever. But his face, there was fear. He was emoting fear. Braun Strowman is more than just a big, beefy guy. He's good. He's a good performer. I got that fear just from his eyes and from his face. He backs away, walks out, leaves, and then Taker's in the ring by himself. And they could have ended the episode there. They really could have. But they had to go and ruin it. Yep! You got big scary Undertaker and a big dramatic moment standing there. Everyone's stoked. It's just popping like crazy. And then Roman Reigns' music hits again, and it keeps playing, and he comes down to the ring to threaten the Undertaker. Threaten the Undertaker. He actually goes in and starts telling the Undertaker, I don't know what you're doing here, man, but I gotta tell you, this is my yard now, which I don't know if that's supposed to make him look brave, but I feel like it just makes him look stupid. Especially since The Undertaker chose to respond to this challenge to his authority, not with words, not by glaring at him until he left like he did to Braun Strowman, but by chokeslamming Roman Reigns. Alright, cool. I didn't think you could salvage the end of this episode after you brought Reigns back in, but you did. You did, didn't you, WWE? I still probably would have preferred no Reigns at the end of this, but hey, he got chokeslammed by The Undertaker, who just walked off after that without a word, so I'll take it. I'll take it. So that was Raw. A pretty good episode. Maybe a little uneven. It's been uneven recently, but again, the highs kind of outweighed the lows for me. Getting to see The Undertaker at the end there, that was great. Braun Strowman doing his thing. Great. Cesaro and Sheamus. Enzo and Cass actually like getting a good angle and getting out of the quagmire they were in before with that other thing. Overall, a great episode. So tell me what you thought about it in the comments there. Let me know. Click like on the video. Subscribe to the channel for more weekly wrestling content. Yeah, we do this every week for the most part. Unless, I'm busy. This isn't a job. How many of you are even watching this? But that's all I've got for you today. I'm Pete, last guy. You've been a delight. This match is over. In 1, 2, 3. So this ends up... No. And that... Why? That's not necessary. And that was... Raw this week. Pretty good ups and downs. Nope, different channel. I can't do that. Nope.